Welcome, brave soul, I am the Forgotten Storyteller. Before we begin, tap that like button if you dare, and drop a comment below telling me where in the world you're listening from. And if you make it to the end of this video, I hope to see you in the next story. I hope you're ready, because I am. Let's begin. Do you know what happens to the people no one looks for? The ones without families, without homes, the ones who vanish between parking lots and motels? Most think they just drift away, lost in the fog, forgotten. But out in the countryside, on land where the air stinks of rot and the soil drinks deep, sometimes the forgotten aren't lost at all. Sometimes they're consumed. Our story today begins on Blackthorn Farm, a place where the mist never quite lifts, and the animals watch you longer than they should. A place where the forgotten feed the living. Blackthorn Farm stretches across 50 acres of stubborn, rotting earth. The fences lean inward like tired old men, the barns sag under their own weight, and the fields, once green and plentiful, now grow more weeds than crops. A permanent stench clings to the air: manure, damp straw, and something fouler, something metallic, something like blood left too long in the sun. Every morning, a thick white mist rolls across the land, hugging the ground, swallowing the trees. It makes the world feel smaller, tighter, like the farm itself is holding its breath. At the center of it all lives Silas Blackthorn. Silas is in his mid-50s, tall but hunched, his skin the color of parchment pulled too tight across his bones. His eyes are pale and watery, and when he speaks, which is rare, his voice is thin, almost polite. Folks in town call him odd but harmless, hardworking and quiet, a man who minds his business. But the truth, the terrible truth, is that Silas is never alone. He has his pigs, and his pigs are not ordinary pigs. They're enormous, unnaturally so, with coarse bristles that stick out like quills and eyes that gleam with something human. They grunt and squeal when he approaches, pressing against the fencing, their mouths foaming, their teeth clicking as though whispering, "Feed us." For decades, Silas has obliged. Not with slop, not with corn or scraps. No, he has found them a richer diet. One that requires him to keep a sharp eye on those whom the world forgets. Drifters and addicts, ladies of the night and runaways. He offers them shelter, work, and a place to disappear. And once they're comfortable, once their guard is down, Silas leads them to the pigs. And the pigs, they never leave a trace. One late autumn evening, at a greasy roadside cafe miles from anywhere, a young woman studies a crooked slip of paper on the bulletin board. Lena Carter. She's 20, with dark circles under her eyes from nights spent in cars and strangers' beds. She's been on the run since a fight with her parents. Words she can't take back, slammed doors she wishes she could reopen. Lena's tough, clever, and stubborn, but she is also tired. Tired of selling herself just to survive. The paper reads, "Help wanted, Blackthorn Farm. Room and board. No questions asked." Her stomach twists. No questions asked. That sounds like freedom. Like a reset button. Like maybe finally she can climb out of this hole she's dug. She tears the paper from the board, folds it into her jacket, and makes her way down the fog-choked road. Hours later, she arrives at Blackthorn Farm. Silas stands on the porch when she pulls up, framed by the creaking wood, his hands resting on a pitchfork like it's part of him. His eyes move over her, quiet, calculating, and then he nods once. "You'll do," he says. No handshake, no smile, just those words. And just like that, Lena has a job. From the moment she steps onto the farm, Lena feels it. Something wrong, like something is watching. The cows are silent, the chickens don't scatter, the goats stare with unblinking eyes. Even the air seems heavier here. Her duties are simple: feed the goats, milk the cows, gather eggs, muck out the stalls. But there is one job Silas insists upon, one job that makes Lena's skin crawl: cleaning the pig pens. The pens are enormous, carved deep into the earth, with concrete troughs and iron gates too thick for any normal animal. When she approaches, the pigs rush forward, squealing, slamming against the fence. Their eyes glimmer in the dusk. Their snouts drip with foam. And from somewhere deep in the mud, she hears it, wet and rhythmic chewing. That night, in the cramped bunk room Silas assigns her, Lena lies awake. She swears she can still hear it. The sound of pigs feeding. One morning, while scrubbing the concrete floor of the pig pen, Lena's boot strikes something hard. She kneels, brushing away the thick layer of muck until her fingers close on something metallic. She pulls it free. A ring. It was gold with a large diamond and looked expensive. Caked in filth but shining faintly beneath. That night, beneath the weak glow of her bunk lamp, she cleans it as best she can. Inside the band is a single word, engraved in delicate script. Forever M. Lena frowns. Silas lives alone. No family photos hang in his house. No evidence of a wife, of children. Who had worn this ring? And why had it been buried in the mud of the pig pen? She slips it into her pocket. She doesn't know why, but she cannot put it back. The farm is full of little wrongnesses. Small details Lena begins to notice. In the shed, a pair of old leather gloves. Too small for Silas's hands. Behind a barn beam, tucked where no one should find them, faded Polaroids. Workers smiling, holding shovels and feed buckets. She flips through them one by one. None of these people are here now. And then the pigs, always watching her. Always pressing close when she passes, their snouts slick, their grunts too knowing. One evening, as she scrapes slop into the trough, a pig nudges something from the mud. A small white shape. It was a tooth and it looked human. Lena freezes. Her stomach twists, her vision swims. She kicks the tooth back into the muck before Silas can see, but her heart races for hours after. When she finally asks him, tentatively, cautiously, about the workers before her, Silas smiles. A thin, humorless movement of his lips. They moved on, he says. His eyes do not blink. Folks like that don't stay. But Lena isn't like the others. She has a family. And her family is still looking for her. Far from the farm, in a neat little house miles away, two people do not sleep. David Carter paces the kitchen floor, hands trembling, his coffee cold in the mug he doesn't drink. His wife, Miriam, sits at the table, staring at a flyer with their daughter's picture printed across it. Lena Carter. Missing. It's been 2 weeks. They've plastered Lena's face on every telephone pole, every gas station window, every diner wall. They've begged police, begged friends, begged strangers to look. But the trail has gone cold. Until one evening, in a smoky roadside cafe, a waitress frowns at Lena's photo. Yeah, she says, squinting. I remember her. She was asking about that farm job. Blackthorn? Out on the edge of town. Creepy place. Hope she's okay. The word feels like fire in David's chest. He remembers the rumors. The whispers from long ago, stories traded in hushed voices. Drifters gone missing, strange lights moving across the farm at night, pigs that grew too large too fast. David doesn't wait for police. He doesn't wait for permission. He and Miriam throw their bags into the car and head toward Blackthorn Farm, headlights cutting through the fog. Back at the farm, Lena is no longer just uneasy. She is terrified. Each day brings new horrors. In the mud of the pig pen, she uncovers a rusted pocket knife, its handle carved with initials. Behind the chicken coop, half buried in straw, a locket containing the photo of a smiling child. And one evening, as she shovels near the trough, her boot strikes something pale and brittle. She bends, brushes away dirt, and recoils. It was a finger bone. Her stomach lurches. She stumbles back, bile in her throat. She drops the shovel and runs to the bunkhouse, slamming the door behind her. That night, by the weak glow of her lamp, she packs her meager belongings into a torn backpack. She doesn't know where she'll go, but she knows one thing with certainty. She cannot stay. But as she zips the pack shut, a shadow falls across the doorway. It was Silas. He stands there, silent, watching. His pale eyes glimmer with something Lena cannot name. You were doing so well, he says softly, almost tenderly. Feeding, cleaning, working hard. I thought maybe you'd last longer. He steps closer. His boots creak against the old floorboards. His voice lowers to a whisper. But the pigs, they're hungry tonight. They always appreciate fresh meat. In his hand glints a rusted slaughter hook. The same hook that's hung on the barn wall since she arrived. The hook, she realizes, that's taken every soul who came before her. Lena backs away until her shoulders press the wall. Her breath comes fast and shallow. Her fingers twitch for anything she could use as a weapon. But Silas moves fast. Faster than his frail body should allow. He lunges, the hook swinging. And then, like from nowhere, headlights. Bright and blinding, cutting across the mist. Tires screech. Gravel sprays. A truck skids to a halt just outside the pen. David Carter bursts from the cab, wielding nothing but a tire iron, his face twisted with fury and terror. Behind him, Miriam shouts Lena's name, her voice raw, desperate. Get away from her. David roars. Silas snarls, his polite mask shattered. He whirls, swinging the hook toward David. The two men collide in the mud of the pig pen. The pigs go wild. They shriek and squeal, pressing against the iron fence, frothing at the mouth, their eyes rolling with hunger. The smell of them fills the air, hot, wet, nauseating. David swings the tire iron. Silas slashes with the hook. The two men thrash in the mud, slipping, striking, growling like animals. Each blow is fueled not just by muscle, but by decades of secrets, of rage, of desperation. Lena screams. Miriam screams. The pigs scream louder still. At last, David lands a crushing blow to Silas's jaw. The farmer collapses, blood streaming down his face, teeth scattering into the muck. Still, he claws at the mud, trying to rise, muttering words that sound like prayers or curses. The pigs are hungry. David kicks the hook from his hand, raises the tire iron again, and then sirens. Red and blue lights cut through the fog. Police swarm the farm, weapons drawn, voices shouting. Hands wrench David back and pry the tire iron from his grip. Other officers see Silas, dragging him upright, snapping cuffs around his wrists. Silas doesn't fight. He only laughs. A low, wet chuckle. "They're still hungry," he whispers. And the pigs, as if answering, slam against the fence, squealing, their voices rising into a horrid chorus. Lena, trembling, mud streaking her face, points a shaking finger toward the pig pens. "Dig," she says. Her voice cracks. "Dig here. Please." The officers hesitate. Then one signals for shovels. Men move into the muck, their boots sinking deep. It doesn't take long. The earth gives up its secrets with sickening ease. They found teeth and many buttons. A few rusted watches. A number of bone fragments, some small, some heartbreakingly large. Decades of victims swallowed by the pigs and spat out into the soil. The diamond ring Lena found gleams under the floodlight. An officer bags it carefully. Later they will trace it. It belonged to Silas's wife. His first wife. The first victim fed to the pigs. Autopsies confirm what the dirt cannot hide. The pigs' stomachs contain human DNA. Not one, not two, but at least 14 missing persons. 14 souls chewed and swallowed, their existence erased except for fragments left in the mud. Lena clutches her parents, sobbing into her mother's arms, her father's embrace trembling with relief. But her eyes never leave the pigs, because the pigs are still watching her, still waiting. And though Silas is dragged away in chains, his words linger in the mist. "My pigs, they're still hungry." Silas Blackthorne never saw the fields of his farm again. He was sentenced swiftly, life without parole, buried alive in a concrete cell where the sun never touched him. And yet, in that cell he remained strangely calm. Guards would sometimes pass and hear him murmuring to the walls, to the shadows, to the air itself. "My pigs, they're still hungry." Not a plea, not a warning, a promise. Lena Carter returned home with her parents, but she was not the same girl who had left. She had survived something she could not put into words. Something that did not leave bruises alone, but stains inside her mind. At night, she woke to the sound of chewing. In the quiet hum of her childhood bedroom, she swore she could hear the pigs gnashing their teeth, their breath hot on her skin, their eyes unblinking in the dark. On her nightstand sat the ring she had found, the diamond glinting faintly in the moonlight. She couldn't bring herself to throw it away. She couldn't bring herself to return it. It wasn't a trophy. It wasn't a keepsake. It was a reminder that she had been close to being forgotten. But she wasn't. Blackthorn Farm did not last long after the arrest. The state condemned the property, citing unlivable conditions and biohazards. Bulldozers came, tearing down the barns, toppling the fences. Concrete was poured over the pits where the pigs had once fed, sealing the earth in gray slabs. But the locals whispered that it wasn't enough. Because on foggy nights, when the moon hung low and pale over the countryside, travelers swore they could still hear it, the sound of squealing carried on the wind. Not the playful squeal of animals. Not the innocent chatter of pigs waiting for feed. But the wet, grinding chew of teeth on bones. The pigs were gone. The land was silent. And yet the sound lingered. Lena could never shake the feeling of being watched. Even at home, even in the safety of her parents' arms, she felt eyes pressing into her back, waiting for her to falter. She told herself the pigs were gone. She told herself the horror had ended when the police dragged Silas away. But some nights, as she drifted toward sleep, she saw them. Rows of pale, gleaming eyes shining in the dark, waiting beyond the window glass. And sometimes, in the hush between dreams and waking, she heard her name carried in a rasping breath. Not from Silas. From the pigs. Silas Blackthorne became a legend in the county. Some said he was a madman born from a mad family, carrying out traditions too foul to be named. Others swore he was just a hollow man, filling his emptiness with cruelty. But the story spread. And with it, the memory of the people he had consumed. The nameless drifters, the addicts, the runaways, the ones the world had ignored. For years, no one remembered them. No one cared. until the pigs, until the farm. Until Lena Carter refused to vanish like the rest. It is late one night, weeks after Lena's return. Her room is dark except for the silver wash of moonlight spilling across her nightstand. The ring sits there, mud still clinging to its crevices, its diamond catching the light like a single watchful eye. The house is quiet. Her parents are asleep. But outside, carried on the wind, faint and distant, comes a sound. A quiet squeal, not playful and not innocent. Then the sound of chewing, the ring gleams brighter. And Lena's eyes snap open in the dark. The forgotten do not simply vanish. They do not fade away into the mist. They linger, gnawing, hungry, waiting for someone to remember them. And when no one does, they feed. Thank you for sticking our until the end. Let us know in the comments. Would you have kept the diamond ring? Please don't forget to leave a like and please consider subscribing and hit the bell. It helps us out a great deal and you never miss any stories we upload. Thank you.
Ready for spine-chilling tales that will haunt your thoughts? Subscribe to Forgotten Storyteller for eerie narrations, unsettling mysteries, and haunting stories you won't forget. Hit the bell icon so you never miss a story, because some stories refuse to stay buried. Join us, if you dare.